Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your morning motivation this morning. I'm coming to you from a different location this morning. I'm actually in Oklahoma. Um, Brought my daughter to her first duty station at Fort Sill. Come down there, help her get set up in her apartment and get situated. So decided to go for a little morning walk this morning. Just walked over 4.3 miles from the hotel. So although I'm on vacation, the intent is to still be on the grind and get it in. Um, the leg is still kind of sore. Got a few weeks before my doctor's appointment, so I'll continue to walk until then and continue to progress in that direction. But it'll be at a slower pace. Like I said, just walked 4.3 miles, and it took me an hour and 20 something minutes, so still pretty long to do that. I was at a slow place, and the intent was only to walk, about 3 miles, but made a wrong turn, and I think I got a little lost. So I don't know if it was really lost. We'll call it exploring a different new territory. And I think a lot of things is about your mindset, about when things are a little different than what you expected them to be. Um, to not to be discouraged, but to just continue to walk forward and do what it is that you say you're going to do, and be positive in that aspect. Because when you're lost, it can be frustrating, it can be disappointing, it can be discouraging. But when you're exploring, it can be exciting, it could be adventurous, it could be something new and exciting and just different. So all of the scenery may seem the same, but your perspective may vary. So it's just a matter of being lost versus exploring. So just keep that in mind when you go out and you do different things. And there's a reason for everything that you encounter. Everything won't go your way. Everything won't be according to your plans and your timeline. So just be mindful of that, not to set false expectations in regards to where you think you should be or where you think you are going. Be receptive to where you are, and then that next step, it may be a little different. It may feel a little different, but it's part of the journey in itself. Like um, it's not a straight line path, you know. A few videos ago, when I was first starting the videos, it says, it's not an A to Z where, everything is in order alphabetically. Because when you start spelling words, the letters start mixing up. So it may be an A, and then it comes with something, a B, or a W, whatever it may would be when you're spelling what words you need to do. So when you start creating words with your life, you won't go in a straight line path, so don't expect your walk in life to be a straight line path. There's going to be some detours, there's going to be some adventures, there's going to be a lot of things that's off course from what you would have wanted or desired it to be. So just be mindful of that and don't be discouraged by that. It's just part of the journey. So learn to explore and not be lost, and it's about a mindset. So as I mentioned, I'm in Oklahoma, and it took us 17 hours to drive out here. And I tell you what, it is a boring country drive. Nothing but cornfields and farms and cattle and horses. I mean, there's no scenery at all coming out this way for 17 hours. You're just driving. All you see is open fields and stuff like that, and it's different. And I was talking to my daughter on the way down here about redefining her life and what she considers to be fun and entertainment. And, the one thing, the perspective is like, hey, this is different. You know, the malls, not a lot of malls, not a lot of places to go and hang out. There's the nightlife is pretty non-existent. So if you want to be tunnel vision and thinking that life is supposed to be what it always has been, then you're going to be in for a long duty station here. But if you open your mind to explore and see different things, and expand your horizon, go hiking, go horseback riding, go to drive a few hours, go to a lake, go somewhere that's outside of your local comfort zone, and you'll realize that it'll be an adventure as opposed to punishment, or just saying that it's not what you're used to. So it's just getting her to embrace that, and I truly hope she does, because if she doesn't, it's gonna be a rough journey, and that's how it is for you too. If you don't not able to adapt and overcome to your environment, then you're gonna be frustrated by some things that you know would be meant to bless you and expand you, it's going to shrink you. So just learn how to expand your mind. We just drove to Dallas yesterday, which is um, 3 hours from Fort Sill. So we went there to visit my friends Eric and Cam and see his family. And I may get to that on this video, or maybe another video that I get to that. But when we went there, we chose to choose the route with the GPS that avoided the highway, so we can actually get inside the countryside and see what was going on and the different aspects of the city. I guess you can't call it a city; it's a country because there was really nothing there. But even driving off the back roads, um, there's an element of beauty in nature if you can pause long enough to see it. You know, the trees, like even this tree that's behind me, um, it just seems so alive and vibrant and beautiful. It's like an ordinary person in the city would just walk by it and not even appreciate how the sun is glistening and glowing off it. But when you slow down to appreciate things, um, their value increases in your life and it adds values to your life. So just driving along the countryside, off the highway, my brother Marlon recommended it to me. He says, hey, just one day when you go somewhere, don't just jump on the highway. Take the back roads and get a little bit more intimate setting, seeing what you are passing by that you would not see on the highway. I mean, we've seen some beautiful homes and some buildings that we would not been able to see had we just went on the highway and do the fast route. And it was different. I'm not sure if I would do that ride again, but I think it was worth the adventure to try it. So um, the thing for your morning motivation is like, don't be ashamed to try something different. You know, um, there's a saying that said definition of insanity is doing the same thing expecting a different result. So if you're getting the same result, it's probably because you're doing the same thing, and it's time to change some things up that be more beneficial to you. So don't go through life with just the experience that you experienced thus far. Open yourself up to explore and see different things that may be a blessing to you. So, and just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong or awkward. It will feel awkward, it will feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, um, you're exploring. You're not lost. You're just viewing different things from a different perspective. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. So during this trip here, it's been humbling and it's been a blessing. Um, it's been a blessing because walking my daughter through her adult life, sending her off on her adventure. She's 23, just graduated West Point, and doing phenomenal things, and just trying to make sure that I impart all the little nuggets and wisdom that I had in my 45 years of living to her, to equip her with that. So she's probably got tired of me talking to her on the trip down here. We listened to the book The Alchemist, and I'm praying that some of those things resonated with her about her journey. And if you haven't got into that book, definitely you want to get into the book The Alchemist. But we went through that book, and then we just talked about some things she can encounter, we will encounter or can expect when she gets to her unit. So we've just been going through that process. She's asking some very intelligent questions, and her curiosity is to a point where she wants to be better and she wants to grow. So I can appreciate the questions that she's asking, and I want to answer them all, and even answer a few that she didn't ask. But I realized, like, me coming up, I wish I'd had someone to be able to entertain questions or I can bounce ideas off of. And when we were in Dallas and we were just talking with my friends, and because I wanted her to see that she's got family within 3 hours, so if she needs to get away, she can go over there. Maybe on holidays when she can't come all the way home, maybe she can go to Dallas and hang out with Eric and his family, and do that. So I wanted to make sure that she knew where it was. But while we was over there, we were talking, and Eric's 46, I'm 45, and Cam is 44, and we were just talking about how it is. Like, as I'm 45, and I think I'm just now starting ready to be a man. Like, up until this point, it was trial and error, making a lot of mistakes and going the wrong way, trying the wrong things based off feelings and emotion. And now it feels like I'm 45 and I'm just ready to begin to start doing it right. And that's in essence the reason for doing a lot of these videos now. It's like I've made a lot of mistakes over the years, and I want to hope that someone watching these videos will be able to avoid them, and then maybe they can grow up a lot faster than what I did. And it won't take them to 45. Maybe it only takes them to 25, and they're able to mature out of it. Maybe it only takes them to 35, but maybe it only takes them to 40. Whatever that distance is that it takes them, maybe they're able to get a little further advanced off some mistakes that I made. And we went over in videos before the difference between a smart person and a wise person is that a smart person learns from their mistakes and a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So it's just being able to be wise and use wisdom in your walk. So um, when we got here, we have been looking for a car in Michigan, and this COVID thing has cars. The car dealers' inventory is pretty depleted, so it's hard to get a good deal on a car. And don't want her to settle and feel like she just has to get one because of that's what's available. I want her to get what she wanted. So we went through several car dealers in Michigan, and then when we got to Oklahoma, we went through a few as well. And there's some pretty smooth talking salesmen and trying to get her to maybe waver on her standards and what she wanted. Um, she wanted the package. She wanted, the sunroof. She wanted leather. She wanted navigation. She wanted all that, and she earned it. She just went through probably one of the hardest schools you can go to, not only academically, but then you add the military portion on that. Then you add the discipline that's required to get through that. I mean, you don't have TVs. You're not out partying during your school. You're really investing in your future. So wanted her to not settle now and really go through the process of getting what she wants. So we eventually settled on a car, and I believe she got what she wanted at a fairly good price. And um, I think it'll be a car that she'll enjoy for many years. And I was telling her about my first car. It's an older car that she got. It wasn't a 2020, and I was so appreciative of her growth and development in that process. In that process, like she's a lieutenant in the Army, and she doesn't have any bills. She could have went out and got anything she wanted, but she had constraint to be fiscally responsible, and then to choose something that was economically reasonable, that she can still enjoy without breaking the bank. So she ended up getting a 2016 Maxima, and it had like 40,000 miles on it. So it wasn't high miles, but it's the platinum version. So it got dual sunroofs. They got the leather seats in there, heated and air conditioned seats. Navigation. I mean, it's loaded to the max car. And I was telling her, I says, hey, you did well, because my first car, I joined the Army in 95. I think I told you all before. And my first car was a Isuzu iMark, and I think it was a 1989 iMark. And it didn't have any bells and whistles. But back then, you had to roll the windows down manually, and that was your AC. Driving faster with the windows down would determine how good your AC worked. So that's how it was. So it came a long way. So that was the blessing part of it, being able to share that with her and navigate her through her experience, because she's when it comes to negotiating, she's just gonna accept what people tell her. And I know the guy came up and told her one price. I said, no, we're not gonna do that right there, and we ended up knocking about 3,500 off the car. And I said we had went to a lot of dealers before, and they were saying based on COVID, we really don't have any room to wiggle. So if you're looking for more than $200 or $300 off, $500 max, then we're probably not going to be at a deal. And so we walked away from a lot of cars that they weren't willing to work with us, and we didn't want to overpay for something. But it got down to a point where this guy was, he wanted to make a sale. and he had just pulled this car in. It was a trade-in from a one owner that upgraded to the 2020 version and hadn't even been on a lot. It just went through the inspection, so he pulled it out front, and before it was even listed, she was able to get in and test drive it, and she liked it, and it ended up being a car. So today we'll go pick it up after she get her insurance and stuff, because we looked at it Saturday afternoon and it was too late to get insurance, so we'll go pick it up today. um, and I say all that to say that um, progress, you know um, there's some things that I experienced in life that I still got to deal with consequences of it, but I can still pass jewels on to my daughter, so that she doesn't struggle forward and can be blessed for it. And the blessing is that she's really receptive to that, and she's open to that. And I say it's been humbling from a different perspective, because on the other side, on my other videos, I told you, like, hey, I was going to put my rings back on and try to make this thing work in this relationship. But the reality of it is, it's like, it's not just me that has to make that decision. So, and that's humbling. Some things you can set your mind on, and you thinking that it's honorable and it's moving you in the right direction. But the reality of it is, it's like, um, you only can control what you can control, and that's the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I change, and the courage to change, or the courage to change the things I can change, and the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So when you set your mind on something, you got to realize, like, everything doesn't align with you making your decision. You will align, and your destiny will align with that, but you can't force other people to align with that. So that's humbling. I thought, like, if I would just change my mindset and my process, that everything else should align, and that's not the reality of it is. And now that I think about it and then talking about it, that's not how it even worked in the professional life. It's like, um, once you make your mind up to do something, it seems like the universe conspires to see if you really want it. It brings you challenges for it to see if it's something that you just want to talk about, or if you want to be about. Because if you're not serious, there's going to bring circumstances and situations that would question, why did you make that decision in the first place? So it's not going well. And just to be transparent, and it may not work, but the difference of me giving up versus just changing my attitude about it. Like, if I give up, then I'm probably stopping short of giving my all. Um, and I would probably always wonder what would have happened if I had gave my all. So now it's about changing my perspective, because it's at this point of rejection and frustration in my life. Like, if I were to go out to a bar somewhere right now, I would meet a nice young lady. We would have great conversation, and I'll be off on another distraction, because that's the pattern. Like, what I do, I don't have issues um, meeting people. Um, so right now, it's that decision matrix. Like, you're in the midst of rejection, things are not going right. What do? Um, you buckle down and you will focus on yourself. So my perspective is changing. Just like, I'm not lost, I'm exploring. So right now, in the midst of rejection, um, the wife doesn't want a reunion. She still wants out, and um, I'm okay with that now. You know, um, she will leave. If she chooses, like, she thinks she can do better, she's entitled to do better, um, and it's her choice to make. And at first, it was kind of disappointing. Like, man, I'm better now. I'm, like I said, I'm 45. I'm ready to do this and be everything, and more. But the only thing's missing is opportunity. But that opportunity is not guaranteed. Maybe this journey is more specifically for me. Like, so my perspective has changed. It's like, from chasing to waiting. Like, when I first put them back on, I was chasing her, trying to get her back and trying to get back into a healthier relationship. But now I'm just waiting for her to make her decision on when she wants to finalize it. So, but in that waiting, I still don't plan on going in and getting into destructive patterns. Like, I still don't plan on going and talking to anyone else. I'm still gonna wait it out. Meaning that this decision now is more about me than it is about her. It's about how I respond to rejection. It's about what I do when I'm not validated by the effort. So this is no longer about her, about me chasing her. It's about me chasing after me and my growth and my development. So it's just a matter of changing your perspective. I'm not lost right now. I'm exploring. I'm exploring the depths of why do I feel the way I feel. I'm exploring how do I become better. Because when I become better, it's like I'm prepared for whatever God gives me. Like if I were to go out and do some destructive patterns and go meet a young lady and that one that would appreciate me and value me, um, then I'm still going through that validation phase of seeking validation, external validation. But if I were to hold fast and just become solid by myself, you know, invest my energy in developing myself, invest my energy in maturing and helping my daughters navigate through their young lives, then that's more admirable. That's more fitting for the growth of a king, you know. So even in the end, if she leaves, when God does bring something to me, I'm ready, you know. So it's my equipping zone. I'm not lost right now. I'm a little rejected, and I would say it even hurts some. But the reality of it is, it's like I'm exploring different parts of my life right now, trying to grow, trying to become better, trying to mature to a state where um, I don't need that validation, where I am enough. God has created me to be enough, and I don't need someone to boost my ego up to say you're this, you're that. I just need to be. And at times when you're used to progress and you're used to movement, when you're used to pursuing stuff, sometimes it's hard to just be. So it's going to be challenging, but it's one of the things like um, I'm not going to shrink myself to fit into the confinements of the rejection of a relationship. So um, your growth will happen when you don't shrink yourself. Don't go to a place where you're tolerated. That's why young kings, you know, if you're not in a relationship now, make that selection process um, an intentional one. And I'm not saying that I didn't do that because I thought I did, but I made a lot of bad decisions in there. But make sure you're walking together. And I guess that's the scripture for today, Amos 3:3. It asks a question in Amos 3:3. It says, how can two walk together unless they agree? Like, it's impossible. Like, if you saying left and they want to go right, I mean, a house divided can't stand. And so, what has happened throughout my 25 years of marriage has been like, I had a vision and a direction. I was very driven professionally, and I wanted to go places. I had this ideal that we was going to be this big power couple, that we were going to be grinding. I knew I was going to take care of mine, and I think I pushed her too hard to get on hers, and I didn't really get her permission to be pushing that hard. It was just growth, growth, growth. We need to be doing this. We need to be doing that, and she didn't sign up for that. You know, she wanted to relax and just kind of so when she wanted to rest and I wanted to work, I would say left, she would say right. I would say we need to be over here, making these moves over here, and she said, "Nah, I don't want to go." And so she didn't go. In a lot of places, you know, although we've been married 25 years, I lived separate in different states or in different countries, probably 12 to 13 of those years, because she didn't go, and I would just be out doing those things. And while I was out doing those things professionally, there's a lot of things I did that was, you know, destructive to the relationship. Like I got lonely out there, living in a different country in a different state by myself, and I did wander. But I always came back home because that was the one I wanted. But I just wanted her to go with me. So it talks about in Amos, how can two walk together unless they agree? And they can't. So each time I went away and she stayed, we grew further apart, and the bond became less and less. So when we got together, we were at different places in our lives, you know, and we're different people now. And now I got to get to a point where I'm accepting the consequences of some of those decisions and realizing like it may have cost me this relationship, but it shouldn't cost me my joy, my peace, my development. Like I still need to grow and become better. So Um, two cannot walk together. So if you're still in a position where you are with your mate, or you young in love, make sure you sit down and you set goals together. Make sure you are walking in the same path and that you're on board. And if you're not, it's time to either get together to get on the same path, or to separate. And that separation could be painful. So, but if you don't do it now, it's going to be more painful later. So just think about that. In the words of the great philosopher Rob Bass, it takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it out of sight. Like, you can't carry the weight on your own. And when it comes to relationship, so if you're in a relationship, they're in one of two categories. They're either going to be an asset or a liability. And an asset is going to enhance you. It's going to build you up. And they might not do the same thing as you, but they're bringing equally the amount of effort and energy into the relationship. A liability is going to be draining. It's going to be a distraction. It's going to get you sidetracked. It's going to be an added weight to you. So when you enter into a relationship, realize, is it an asset or a liability? And everything that looks good to you, it's not good for you. So if you're shallow and superficial, then and you go on by looks alone, um, you still may be alone. Even though you're in a relationship, because um, sometimes beauty is vain. I'm not saying all beautiful women um, don't have um, character or strength, but I'm saying you got to be very selective, because sometimes the more beautiful they are, the more they've been told they're beautiful, and they feel that beauty is enough. And you're gonna realize, like, and I've dealt with a lot of beautiful women in my life. Like, once you deal with a beautiful woman for a period of time, they become normal. No matter how beautiful they are when you meet them initially, after you start dealing, they just become normal. So the beauty is not enough. It's gonna have to be some chemistry, some character that's associated with that beauty. Because once they're normal to you, and that's all it was, it won't be enough. So don't settle for it being enough. I mean, it may be enough to attract you, but then what's going to keep you? It's going to be that chemistry. Can you laugh? Can you joke? Can you have a good time? Are you walking on eggshell because they're offensive or offended by you being you? So those are things you need to really analyze and think about. Beauty is not enough. It's enough to get started, but it's not finishing. It's not enough to finish. So I know I mumbled on quite a bit, so it's gonna be a long ride back, because the wife did come out here. And, she sat in the back seat the whole way and doesn't want to talk to me. And now we're gonna be driving back by ourselves, but we'll probably stay out here until Saturday. So it's Monday. Got a few more days out here to help us get situated. But the reality of it is, it's like Amos, how could two walk together unless they agree? So we're not in agreement. No matter how bad I want it, you know, it gets to a point where if she doesn't want it, then it's not going to happen. And I'm to a point now where I'm okay with that. I'm trusting God through this journey, like that He got me. And if this is not what it's meant to be, it won't be. So, and it's hard, but it's reality. So, your morning motivation, young kings, is like, don't get lost, start exploring. Don't be tolerated, be celebrated. And then choose wisely your mate between assets and liabilities. Make it a great day, young kings.